Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Helen with ADU1, and we are here for our weekly webinar. We're doing the city spotlights once again, and today is on Los Angeles. So I realized from all of the cities that I've covered so far, I had yet to discuss LA's rules. So today we're going to go over their exact ordinance. I have the summary that they provided, and we'll go over it all together. Again, even if your property isn't in Los Angeles, all of the rules are developed from the state's ordinance and the state law. So they all really are very similar. They go hand in hand. There's only slight variations per city, which I will point out. If you have not checked out our other webinars, please do so. You can click our channel, ADU1 YouTube channel, and we will have many other cities there, as well as just the general state rules and guidelines for your ADUs. So today, as mentioned, we're going to go over Los Angeles, and I'm Helen with ADU1. We're a division of Repipe 1 Restoration, and Retrofit 1, and now Balcony 1. So we have several divisions to kind of cover all construction and property needs for both single family and multifamily. I will be going over the rules for, again, single family and multifamily related to Los Angeles, and anything that differs from the state, I'll let you know. So that way, even if your city is not, or if your property is not in Los Angeles, this can still apply to you regardless. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat, and I will get to them after I stop sharing my screen. And I will also put our contact information in case you have specific property questions that you want to talk to us about, or if you want to arrange a site visit or get any estimates for the work. So, all right, we will begin. Alrighty. All right. So you should be able to see this. I'll zoom in. So there we go. I believe you guys can see this now. So this is the Los Angeles summary of the ordinance. So they do have, of course, the regular standard ordinance in that format. But this is nice. They kind of condensed everything, summarized it, and that is what we'll go over today. Let's see. As always, ADUs are permitted in most zones, and it really has to do with what's already existing on your property. So if there's a single family home in existence, most likely you will then be allowed the single family home ADU rules. If there's a multifamily property on the zone, you would be allowed the multifamily rules. Some cities may have it per zone, even if there's a single family, but it's on a multifamily zone, then you may be allowed the multifamily rules. However, in Los Angeles, I'm pretty sure it's just by what's already existing. So, alrighty. So, just as the state already kind of describes, the same goes for LA. You're allowed either attached or detached ADUs, as well as what's called a junior ADU. For single family homes, you can do all three, and there's different kind of configurations for them. For the attached type of ADUs for single family homes, these can be conversions of existing attached space, such as an attached garage, attached storage room, or for a single family home, it can be new construction that you then attach to the structure of the home, almost like an addition. So that's allowed for single family homes. A single family home can also do the type of ADU called detached. The detached can be either a conversion of existing detached space, like a detached garage, carport, or storage room, or it can be new construction built from the ground up that's detached from the house. And it's on your property, space permitting, and of course conforming to setbacks when it comes to new construction. Typically 4-foot setbacks side and rear, and there's building separation. I believe in Los Angeles it's a 6-foot building separation from the main home. If losing that 6 feet would prohibit an ADU from being built that way, then we would always recommend for a single family home to try to attach it. That way you don't have to worry about the 6-foot building separation. And in single family homes, you could also do what's called a junior ADU. And this is the same all across the state. So the junior ADU is for single family homes only. You cannot do a junior ADU for multifamily properties. Junior ADU is limited to 500 square feet. So we're right here, 500 square feet. It has to be entirely within the existing home, but it can also include an attached garage. It cannot be new construction. It can't be a new construction that's attached, like the addition configuration we described. And it cannot be new construction detached. It can't be detached at all. It has to be part of the existing footprint of the home. Maximum 500 square feet, has to have a separate entrance, and it also comes with an owner occupancy requirement. So the owner of the home must live in either the house or the junior ADU. And which means that you can't rent them both out at the same time, because if the owner is required to live in one of them, only one can be rented out. And I'll get into this when we reach the multifamily rules. So for single family residences, you are permitted to do one ADU, and that can either be attached or detached, but you are only allowed one. If you do live in the home, then you are permitted to also do the junior ADU again, but following all of those rules described. So you have to live there. It has to be attached, can't be new construction, has to have its own exterior entrance, and you're limited to 500 square feet. But if you live in the home, you can technically, if you have like an attached garage, convert that to the junior ADU. And also do, if you have a big backyard, build a separate ADU in your yard. So then that way you can have the main home, the junior ADU, and a detached ADU. When it comes to sizing for your attached ADUs, so this means either a conversion or new construction built connected to the home, your square footage is, so it's either 50% of the existing square footage of your home or 1,200 square feet, whichever is less. So that means if you have a 1,200 square foot home, you're only permitted to do an attached ADU up to 600 square feet, because that is less than the state maximum of 1,200. If you have a 3,000 square foot home, you would then have to defer to 1,200 because again, it's whichever is less. So you can't do 1,500 square foot ADU. So this is again, whether it's a conversion or new construction that's attached. Basically, they don't want your new ADU to be larger than your house. And as far as setbacks go, still 4-foot setbacks for your side and rear. And this is when you're discussing new construction. If you are converting anything at this point, a detached structure or attached, you can keep the footprint as is. And your height requirements says basically 25 feet or as specified by the specific plan, whichever is less. In single family homes, there's usually not a problem if you want to do 2 stories. So you should be able to even build new construction and put it on top of your garage if you want to save your garage and parking, but still have an attached ADU. You can build on top, the height allows it. And the height will also allow, if you just want to build a 2-story ADU as well, attached, you can do that. And again, when converting, there's no max. So interesting. So no max when converting entirely within, which is kind of weird because right here it says conversion within the existing home, and so does this. So I'll have to get kind of clarification on that, because I know for multifamily, which I'll get into, there's no max when converting existing space. But even though it says no max here, I still prefer to err on this 50% rule, because that's just what the planners have been telling us, and that's kind of what it says up here within the same exact kind of style. So when you're doing a detached ADU, whether it's converting the space or building something new, the state maximum applies of 1,200 square feet. If you're building something new, you have your 4-foot side and rear setbacks, as well as the same height limits. When you are, let's say, building on top of an existing detached garage, you can leave the detached garage's footprint as is, and those setbacks only apply to the new construction above. So that second story has to be honoring the 4-foot side and rear. So if your detached structure is like on the property line in the corner, that's fine, but the new construction above has to conform to setbacks. And this is where it says, for a detached ADU, if you do the junior ADU, you can't have an ADU that's also attached. So you cannot have an attached garage converted to a junior ADU, or a portion of the home kind of partitioned off as a junior ADU and then convert the garage to a regular ADU. They have to be separate. So if you do a junior ADU, your ADU has to be detached in Los Angeles. Here we go. So it says there's a no max for square footage when you are converting a detached accessory structure. So if you're converting a detached garage and it is over 1,200 square feet in LA, they don't mind, and there's no maximum. Existing setbacks apply. No max for height limit either, if it already is a permitted, legal, existing detached structure. So for junior ADUs, again, it has to be entirely within existing or a proposed single-family residence. So if you just have a vacant lot, you can put all of this on the same plan to propose the building of a single-family home with the ADUs incorporated into it. You are allowed to do that. So the junior ADU, as mentioned, can be converted from an attached garage, or it can be part of the existing home. Let's say you have a formal living area or a master bedroom. You can close that off, but you must put at least an efficiency kitchen, and it has to have its own exterior entrance. And again, you're limited to 500 square feet. But the junior ADUs are permitted to be from dwelling space, unlike ADUs, which must be uninhabited space. So you cannot use living space. And I'll get into a little more of that once we get into multifamily residences. So that kind of covers it for your single family homes. Again, you're allowed, generally speaking, one ADU. If you live in the home, then you can also do the junior ADU. If you have a junior ADU, then your ADU must be detached. They can't, all 3 units cannot be in one structure. 1,200 square feet, unless it's attached, which then you're limited to 50% of the existing square footage, or 1,200 square feet, whichever is less. And it says here, provided at least an 800 square foot ADU is allowed. This is because there is a state exemption, a California exemption ADU, which permits every single property to have at least one ADU of 800 square feet. So if something is going to limit you to not have this, then we may be able to still get something approved, even if it's outside of that 50%. And this is only if there are no other possibilities for building an ADU on the property. Otherwise, if there is one, they'll make you do that one first and kind of exhaust all configurations where you can. So for multifamily properties, this, again, it's statewide. LA is pretty similar and kind of copy paste from the state ordinance. But multifamily has much different rules than the single family homes. As far as quantity goes, you have it right here. Multifamily properties are permitted at least one attached ADU. So if you have a duplex, you can do one attached ADU. Here's some of the differences, though, that I'll actually explain first. Unlike single family homes configurations of attached, where you can either do conversions or new construction and attach it to the house, you cannot do new construction and attach it to your building. That is not allowed anywhere throughout the state. It's not allowed in Los Angeles. Attached for multifamily properties only means internal conversions. So they do not want you to change the existing building or the footprint of the primary building where your existing units are. You cannot expand that or do an addition or build any new construction. Attached for multifamily only means internal conversions. So as far as attached, aka internal conversions go for multifamily, you're allowed at least one or up to 25% of your existing number of units. So that really only starts counting after 8 units. So once you have 8, 9, 10, 11 units, you can then do two attached, which again means internal conversions. So if you have large storage space that's part of the building already, many storage rooms, tuck under parking, attached garages or carports, large rec rooms, big basement, something like that, an attic with enough ceiling height. So again, part of the existing structure that's uninhabited, so not used as living space. That's when the 25% rule kicks in after 8 units. So if you have 12 units, you can then do three. You can convert your attached areas into 3 units, and so forth with the 25% rule. If you have 2 through 7 units, then you're still allowed one attached. In LA, luckily, you are permitted to also do up to 2 detached ADUs. Unfortunately, LA is becoming one of the very few cities that's allowing both configurations. As more and more cities are developing their own ordinances, which kind of at the maybe the last quarter of last year, more cities finally created their own. So many of them are restricting doing both configurations, meaning attached and detached. LA, luckily, is still allowing that. So you can do, let's say you have an 8 unit building with a detached carport or large yard. You can technically do two attached, those internal conversions, space permitting, and up to 2 detached ADUs. So you can go from 8 units to 12 units. So increase by 50% increase via ADUs, which is really great. So for your attached ADUs, if you are converting existing space that's there, there's no maximum size. So if you have tuck under parking that's 2,000 square feet, you can split that how you wish, but of course within your 25% rule. So if you have a 6 unit building with a 2,000 square foot tuck under, which you probably wouldn't, but if you do, you can use all of that space for that 1 unit. I don't see why you would want to, but if you did, at least you have that possibility. Of course, that makes more sense once you do have, if you have a larger building, like 16-unit building with very large tuck under or storage or carport garage areas, then you can split up that square footage into multiple units. It'll make a little bit more sense that way. For detached ADUs, just like with single family homes, detached can either be conversions or new construction. If your city allows it, which LA does, you can do 2-story units, a 2-story structure within this 16-foot height limit. So if you're converting, there is no maximum for anything as long as the space is legal, permitted, and already in existence. Size doesn't matter. Height doesn't matter because you're doing it within that footprint. But if it's new construction, it's maximum 1,200 square feet, 4-foot setbacks apply, and you have a height limit of 16 feet. So here's where, though, it gets a little bit tricky, because one of our most popular and requested ADU configurations when dealing with detached new construction is usually when there is a detached carport or even just an open lot of uncovered spots. Because the uncovered spots are kind of semi-protected, although we haven't really been hearing any issues about that. But it's only when you convert carport and garages that, at least by state law, you do not have to replace the parking at all. Uncovered spots, it really depends. However, we always propose to do, and you may have seen this if you're familiar with our website or any of our marketing or anything like that, a 2-story structure that there's parking on the ground floor with the units above. So it'll have a stairway in the middle that leads to 1 or 2 units on the second floor. LA does allow you to do that, but keep in mind when doing that, sometimes we may have to excavate a little bit under the grade level to account for that. It's only a few inches when it's not double dwelling, because carport does not have the same ceiling height requirement as dwelling space. But dwelling space does have a 7.5-foot ceiling height, which isn't terrible, but we usually like it to be at least 8 feet. It's just a little more comfortable. But even if you have a 7.5 feet and it's a conversion, it's no problem. I was actually at a site today where there was 7.5 foot height. It's not ideal, but it wasn't bad either. Nobody's going to be hunched over. But this is just to show we would do the carport at about 7 to 7.5 feet, would leave about a foot for the subfloor, and then at least 8 feet for your actual living space. We have several projects like this in plan check right now that are doing quite well, and we'll be hopefully starting construction on them by the summertime. So anything like this, we do get a lot of questions about power lines and utilities. We're dealing a lot with that right now, but that's included. If there is a utility pole in your yard, in or around your yard, you do have to do an encroachment clearance application. We do that for you. And then there may or may not be some specifics that they just want you to follow with the design. And they may or may not have to raise some wires or relocate the utility pole, but that varies per project. So there's no exact answer for that. But again, it's no problem, and it's something very common. Regarding parking, LA has the same exact parking rules that, again, when you are using a garage, a carport, or a covered parking structure for the purpose of ADUs, you do not have to replace that parking, even if that parking is required for your building. When you are converting them for the purpose of the ADUs, you do not have to replace the parking. And that, again, is only for the purpose of ADUs. If you're using it for storage or something, or not for an ADU, you do still have to keep those parking spots. But that's not really relevant for what we do, because we are only providing you with ADUs. If your property is located within a half mile to public transit, like a bus stop, which most multifamily properties are, then there's no additional parking needed for those units. So in most cases, 9 out of 10 times, you do not have to worry about replacing or adding parking. And what we do as well, if there is a place on the property to relocate your parking, we will always let you know and always strive to preserve as much parking as possible, which is also why we have a lot of projects with the 2-story structure with the carport, so we can preserve the parking, because we know parking obviously adds its own type of value to the property as well. And I kind of like to see those win-win situations. Keep as much parking as possible and get your additional units. So if that's possible for your property, we will always let you know and go over all of your options with you. So that is about it for LA's rules. And so that's about it for single family homes and multifamily. As far as our services go, we provide both the engineering full set of plans that you would need. We do all of your permit expediting for you as well. So we do the submission to the city, all of that plan check process. And of course, we're a full scope construction company. If your building also needs to be seismically retrofitted, you can do the ADU in that area, and you can retrofit it at the same time using either the same elements or different elements that we would incorporate into the structure. So there's a lot of ways that we can do that, but at least you can get the requirements done and get more income and more units at the same time. So it's always an option. If your building was already seismically retrofitted and now you want to do the ADUs, no problem. We still can. We can usually incorporate, if you have steel beams anywhere, cantilever columns, a mullet frame, we can incorporate in the design, put them inside a wall, a closet, whatever it is, it's fine. We do not do prefab. We don't do modular units. Everything is built on site and for your specific project and property. So, which gives us just a lot of flexibility, a lot of options for you as far as your finishes and fixtures go. Our showroom is going to be located in Tarzana. It's almost finished. It looks really, really good. So if you are local, you feel free to stop by. Technically you can now, but it's not finished yet. But once it is, our doors will be open for the showroom. They're always open just to come in and meet with us anyways. But for the showroom, they will be open so you can really pick on the spot the types of finishes you want, your materials. You can see different colors and really make it a very fun process. And we're here to help with all of that. So if you need any more information, I will put our info into the chat. I don't see any questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in or give us a call. And our This is our website, which also has a contact form that you could reach us, or feel free to email us. Don't forget the dash or the hyphen in our email. But yeah, give us a call. We're available to meet you on site, discuss your project with you. And like I said, you're always welcome to come to our Tarzana office. We also have an office and warehouse in South OC, which allows us to serve all of Orange County and San Diego as well. So come on by, give us a call, or email us for more information. Thank you again for tuning in. This is Helen with ADU1, and I will see you next.